All right, welcome back, everybody. We're here in the shop because we have got something that it's not exactly breaking news, but we just heard about it, and it's going around, which is that Subaru is bringing back the STI. At least this is the rumor. Now, there have been a lot of rumors that Subaru is bringing back the STI for a couple of years now, ever since they killed it off. But this one comes actually from a reliable source to a reliable source. This is from Jonny Lieberman of Motor Trend. So I'm going to play a clip from this podcast. This is Spike's Car Radio from July 30th, so just a couple weeks ago, where Johnny says, he's heard from a reliable source. Well, we'll just let him tell you.
You're full of breaking news. You want more? I got more.
What do you got? Yeah, go ahead.
Subaru,
you're a fire hose tonight.
Subaru is bringing the STI back.
Oh, wow.
Subaru's bringing it back. They're going to use the 2.4 liter that's in the WRX, and it's going to make a lot of power.
Where did you get that info?
From a source, from a good source that I trust.
Unlike the
Facebook
Quail Porsche
the
sources.
Quail was a bad source. Joe, you're a bad source.
So the STI comes back.
STI is going to come back. They decided they're going to bring it back. The original plan was to be like 405 horsepower. This is right before they canceled plans for it. So maybe it'll be that. But I think seeing what happened with Toyota and the GR Corolla is we're just walking away from something we owned for 2 decades. They were the only game in town for, like a rally style, big horsepower, hatchback manual, all-wheel drive thing. And so STI is happening.
Wow.
Don't know when, but STI is going to happen.
That's very cool.
Okay, so now we're back. Now, being that this is, in theory more reliable than just like these printed Japanese news magazines that say that they've got an inside scoop that usually are kind of off base, it seems like maybe there's a lot of credibility here. So we wanted to get all the shop together, so we're all here to kind of go around and talk about what we think what this means. Do we think it's going to happen? What are our top line thoughts? So, with all that said, all right, who wants to start? Morgan.
Sweet. I think it's going to be cool. I was always a big fan of the STI since I got into Subarus. I think one of the negatives is it's kind of a slap in the face for TR owners. I feel like the TR has the Brembos, the Recaros. It's supposed to be as close to an STI without a badge. And I feel like the STI is going to have, 100 more horsepower than the WRX?
Well, so the old rumor was it was 405. And so now maybe it's going to be that, maybe it's going to be more. But yeah, to your point, the WRX TR and the TS, there's now some big question marks with those. And worth mentioning again that this is just rumored. But yeah, I mean, how do those two trim levels of the WRX then fit in if there is actually going to be an STI?
Yeah.
I think it's still super exciting regardless. What we had heard from past rumors was maybe 2027, the STE was going to come back and they're going to try to do something like that.
Well, so, that's still in theory the case, but that's as the fully electric STI.
Yeah, presumably that's still in the works, but it is exciting to hear them adding on, another offering. So hopefully they bring back the hatchback if you're listening, Subaru. And there's a lot of stuff I think a lot of people in the market for these cars are looking for right now. I mean, the GR Corolla has proved that there's an enthusiast market for that type of car.
Right.
Turbo hot hatch, it's all-wheel drive.
And Subaru owners, we've always known that. And it's like Subaru just kind of forgot that, and now they're remembering what they've forgotten. Who knows? All right, Carter, what do you think?
I think it should be interesting. I think I have a couple thoughts on the TR thing. Everybody kind of hated it at first, but it was maybe now actually Subaru's preview of what the STI is actually just going to be, basically. And so maybe we should have a bit more positive outlook on that. I don't know.
Preview of the future.
Well, yeah. We'll finish going around. Remus, what do you think?
I'm super excited. I mean, I've been pretty excited with the new WRX. The platform has been awesome. The engine is sweet. The more we learn about it, the cooler it becomes. There's nothing that's oh no. Yeah. So to have something like that be put in a true STI, and hopefully the suspension and all of the fun things to go along with it, I could see it being very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Especially if the rumors about Subaru going back into true rally is going to
Yeah,
be
WCLs.
a thing. They might, group in, and we might get some little goodies here and there as far as on the consumer side. So
Well,
we'll see.
keep in mind, World Rally, it still has to be that homologated 1.6 liter inline engine, so that it couldn't be the engine, maybe the drivetrain.
That's what I'm thinking. Chassis
But,
and
yeah.
it might be some more
Yeah.
stuff for us.
Let's hope. All right, Viet.
No, I think it's great news because everyone loves an STI.
Yeah.
Everyone wants an STI. They want to even if they buy a WRX, they're gonna try to make it an STI.
Yeah.
And right,
It's the flagship. It
Right,
is the flagship.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the TR deal, they have so much more potential to do more than just what the TR is.
Well, and so that's the point that I would make is now not only do they have the potential, they have to.
Right. Yeah.
They have to because historically the STI has been $10,000 or thereabouts more than the WRX.
I say potential because
Yeah.
Subaru has let us down several times.
And exactly because
There's a history of this.
this is my concern because they have a history of being conservative and I guess you can't really fault them for that. But this is one of those things, especially having not gone in and just released the STI and having taken it away for a handful of years and now kind of luring us back with these rumors.
Yeah.
It's got to be lights out good. It has to be like a significant step forward.
Right. But
and
now-
can they do that even at that price point of say $10,000 more than the WRX, of like 55
But now they have Toyota with a stake in it too. So
potentially.
and Toyota's been pushing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. with
And
their
the weird
cars.
part is now it's like there's all these rumors that Toyota was the one that made them kill off the STI because they wanted to have success with the GR Corolla.
Right.
And now if they bring the STI back, then it's going to be a direct competitor for the GR Corolla. So
I mean, theoretically, that's a good thing, though. I mean, it gives more competition in the car market, but Toyota having a piece of Subaru, too, that's just good for them.
it's a small piece, but yes,
But, I mean,
I guess it's not that small, 20%.
yeah, so they're going to, if they're competing with themselves a little bit in that, too, it's kind of, I'm sure Toyota wouldn't hate that.
Well, and here's the other thing relative to that. Right now, the WRX TR and the TS, I don't think we have TS pricing yet, but that is price comparison or price competitive with the GR Corolla as it is now. So if the STI is going to cost even more, that's again they cannot leave anything performance-wise on the table. If the STI is going to be $10,000 to $15,000 more than the GR Corolla, it has got to. I mean, they can't be targeting the GR Corolla, and then have $15,000 premium over what the GR Corolla costs.
I mean, at $55,000 to $60,000, it's in the price realm of Corvettes now, all kinds of different stuff. It's getting close to some pretty premium sports cars.
3
So
Series
everyone pray to the dual clutch transmission gods and keep your fingers crossed for cool things.
Yeah.
And we gotta pump up those rookie numbers. 400 is meager now.
Yeah, I mean,
some of the cars it's selling against.
In my opinion, what they have to be targeting with the STI, they cannot be targeting the GR Corolla. They cannot be looking at that, or even the Civic Type R or the Integra Type S. They cannot be benchmarking that because that would be the old benchmark for the STI, and I don't think at this new price point that works at all. They've got to be targeting, I would say, like Porsche Macan or Audi RS3.
Yeah,
I mean,
Audis, M Series, that
Yeah,
kind of ballpark.
M2, M3. I mean, they've got to be benchmarking much higher targets, and that's got to be the kind of performance it brings.
It used to be, it was if the M3, BMW M3, but if you want to throw a snowboard in the back or something like
Right.
that. They need to keep up with that level of performance.
Or you live where it snows.
And whatever, yeah.
But though I guess a lot of the M3s are all-wheel drive now, or you can get them all-wheel drive.
Yes,
They're not
but
hatchbacks.
manual.
Back to the hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, so I'm going to throw this theory out and tell me what you guys think. My theory is that what we're seeing, especially with the WRX TS, that is what they had planned for the STI. The adaptive suspension, the brakes, because basically the Brembo brakes from the 21 STI have now moved forward into the WRX TR and TS. So if you look at the TS, fancy interior, adaptive suspension, all that's missing is the engine and drivetrain. That's really all that's missing. It kind of feels like this is stuff that they had developed and that kind of been thinking that they were going to put in the STI, and then when they killed it off, okay, we'll launch the WRX, we'll give it a couple of years, and then we'll put these things on the WRX in this higher trim level that we're going to go on the STI. What do you guys think?
I think that's probably pretty accurate. I mean, you can get a base model WRX with STI push to start button and mud flaps and stuff, so I think they definitely manufactured STI parts and then got
Yeah.
the cut.
Yeah, I mean, the rumors are pretty strong that they had done a fair amount of R&D on the STI before they ended the project. So, if you've done all the R&D, it would be a complete waste to not put any of those parts on the car.
Yeah.
But again, now knowing what the TS is going to have, especially with that adaptive suspension and stuff like that, again, like that pushes what I think what we would accept as enthusiasts as an STI much, much higher.
Or they can go Civic Type R route, where it's more track oriented,
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
like a stripper
yeah.
WRX or whatever.
Like they've kind of done that with like S209 and those types
Right.
of things
Yeah.
in the past. It could be interesting to see that in a more broad context.
What would you think if? What would you? The other thought that I had is, what if? So the WRX TS is coming out as a 25 model. So the TR is coming out this year as a 24 model. The TS is coming out next year as a 25. What if what this is actually a TS version or trim level for 26 that would basically be a hopped up engine with the STI drivetrain, but still as a WRX, or as a WRX TS? Do you think that would be enough? Because then you wouldn't have the expectations of a full-blown STI necessarily, and you could hold it in that price point that the TS is going to land probably somewhere in the $44,000 to $46,000 range, and especially if you get the STI drivetrain with the WRX TS, then that $46,000 price point that fits much more closely to the outgoing STI. Maybe, but the power would probably be less.
Yeah, I would hope that they would do the STI as even another level further, because of what we've talked about with competition with the RS3s, with the M3s,
Yeah.
BMWs and Audis. I think the stock horsepower of the RSs is into the 400 plus 500 horsepower range
Yeah.
from the factory.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my hope, is that they maybe keep the TS/TR level, and then for people who really want a performance oriented car, something that breaks into that 450 plus 500 horsepower range with dual clutch transmission,
Yeah.
options for some cool stuff.
No, the STI really needs to have a dual clutch. The rumors
Yeah.
were that it was going to get it. It really has to
I
happen.
mean, there's Kia Seltos with dual clutch transmissions.
Yeah.
It's a 200 horsepower hatchback turbo.
Yeah.
And easily it could be done in the STI.
and it starts bridging that gap and solving this problem that they have with CVTs.
Yeah.
So because you can have an 8-speed dual clutch, you get the efficiency, you can have the fuel economy, but you get the performance. You're not driving a rubber band. So.
Yeah.
All right, let me throw a theory out at you, which is, I've been thinking about this ever since I heard this as a leak, thinking about the concept as a leak. What do you think the chances are that Subaru deliberately has leaked this rumor because they want to see what the response is? Because, and I would say it would be wise to do that, because one of the question marks for them is, how many people have they lost? Having killed off the STI after 2021, moved on with the WRX, if basically there's people that they've lost. I'll be honest, I'm sitting in this chair, they lost me. Okay, and I mean that seriously. I was planning to buy the new STI. When it was rumored of 400 horsepower dual clutch and all that, I was like, that's what I want. I was saving things up, I had my eyes set on that, and then when they cut it off, well, it's gone. And I have now purchased another vehicle, which we won't get into that yet, but I purchased another vehicle that actually at the $55,000 price point is going to be a direct competitor. And I don't know if they're going to be able to win me back, because I'm pretty happy where I'm sitting now, and I don't know if they're going to offer me a performance in the new STI that would get me to trade in this car that I just bought to get the new STI. So there's definitely some people that they lost, and I'm wondering, like, what do you think if they're trying to kind of float this to just kind of see how many people do we still have? How many people want this? What is the enthusiast base thinking?
I mean, I think with the new era of like social media, there is way more precedent for that type of release with all kinds of stuff now, where it's like trying to be more interactive with the community, figure out what they want, and you really can leverage that well now with the internet era of like, hey, let's get a poll to every single person that we can and see what they want.
Here we are. We're doing it for them.
Yeah,
we're doing their canvassing.
Like, hopefully that is the case, because that would honestly be kind of the best case scenario. Is they're putting it out there to see the response, try to gauge what features they should include, dual clutch transmission,
Yep.
and go from there. But only time will tell, really.
All right, let's just say if it's going to be an STI and it's going to be $10,000 more than the WRX, let's just say, I think we can all agree, it should have a dual clutch transmission.
Yeah.
Let's just say that
And
Well, I
as
don't
an
know.
option.
as an option.
Okay,
As
as
an
an
option,
option, yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Because
16
some people
manual.
still want a manual transmission.
Yep.
I would still keep it because it makes me feel more connected to the car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people don't want just performance; they want that feel.
Yep. Yeah.
And some car, when you go to dual clutch, you kind of lose that a little bit.
What if there's a WRX TR or TS with the STI manual transmission, and then the STI is just the dual clutch? Let's say that it was that scenario. So the STI is just dual clutch. The WRX TS ends up getting the STI drivetrain, just not quite as much power. Would that push you to the TS instead of the STI?
Does the STI have all the cool diffs and stuff?
It better, right?
It better, right?
Then,
Right?
yeah, then
Yeah.
yes.
If it does, then
We're
I
gonna
would
make a 6-speed swap for it.
Yeah.
I would go towards I guess the diff. Oh man, diffs.
It's
Yes.
got the thing you got to remember, it's just in context. The STI, the last real significant change, other than like the chassis, which basically was for looks and for chassis stiffness, the last change was 2008 to 21. So that's what, 13 model years?
Yeah.
Where the engine basically didn't change. I think 5 horsepower was the difference in that run. And you think about the drivetrain, 2004 to 2021, that thing had almost a 20-year run and basically no significant changes. So like if they're going to win people back, they have to make significant changes, in my opinion, with the drivetrain and with the engine.
Oh yeah.
It has to. Right?
But yeah, all the
Yeah.
recent cars, like the WRX TRs and TSs, they have been a compromise on the drivetrain. I think that's like the last missing piece of the puzzle for people to really feel like it is an STI, is more power, a little bit of a change to the drivetrain, either going back to the STI 6-speed or bringing some new life into the automatic realm for Subaru. Like,
Right.
the CVT really just leaves so much to be desired for so many people that it doesn't seem like that is a viable option for at least the STI. And personally, like the WRX, I was really bummed out that the WRX with the adaptive suspension only came with a CVT.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Which they have no
piece.
fix with the TS. But yeah, the drivetrain, they've got to step up the drivetrain. Like a big step up. Whatever the next generation of this SGA drivetrain is, it's got to be the next thing.
So my question, and something I've been thinking about, I think you and I kind of talked about it too, was there's a possibility with, like Dylan was saying, the STE and the fully electric and that kind of thing. Does Subaru make it hybrid? Do they try to do something, kind of in that realm? Because you push 300 or 350 from the engine, and then you have a 50 horsepower, electric drive, and you get some stuff here and there, and it has the diffs and it has the pieces here and there. That could be another reason they killed it off, because they have to go, emission stuff into electric. So I don't know if that changes things for people, but
I think that'd be interesting. Would you buy the STI if it had like a small battery pack, like a little 50 horsepower booster or something, and could maybe go up to 20 miles on electric only? Would that be, for a lot of people, I think that would be a positive.
I think it's got to go
like 50
40 to
miles.
60 miles
Yeah.
electric
Sure.
motor. And it probably has to have something like 150 horsepower electric motor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that gets interesting.
Oh yeah.
But
especially with the
okay,
all-wheel drive and the eyesight and the
so
dual clutch transmission and the
yep.
it makes it a little more.
So let's say the STI is a hybrid. Let's say it has 450 horsepower and this next generation WRC based drivetrain that we're talking about, but it's a hybrid. Does that make you interested, or the fact that it's a hybrid, would that be a turnoff?
Makes me want to buy it more.
Yeah, as someone who
Be
dailies an STI, for sure I'd be interested because gas mileage, and if it's not sacrificing power, I mean, it can only be fun, I think. Obviously, new drivetrains like that have a lot of kinks to work out, which is another reason I am a little hesitant to say dual clutch transmission, because who knows how many issues they're going to run into with that. But having some cool innovations, I think, would be huge.
Well, the dual clutch, most likely, I mean, I think Eisen already has a couple dual clutches. It would not
Four-wheel
be
steer.
something that Subaru's going to have to completely develop from scratch. There are transmission manufacturers that they could just tap to like take
Yeah.
a proven architecture and just fit it into the car. So I don't think the reliability would be a big issue with the dual clutch. I don't expect. From an enthusiast standpoint, I think the hybrid, it's going to probably split it right down the middle. Like there's going to be half the people that would be more excited about it, and half the people that are going to be turned off by it because they're more purists and they want just an ICE experience. But that's an interesting one. All
Is
right.
it a one motor or two motor? Because if you have two, you get front and rear.
Hence the diffs.
Yeah.
Well,
the
but at
control-
that point,
I'm telling
then
you,
it's just
cool.
why not all electric?
Now we're $65,000 into the thing.
Yeah.
But that's
And
that's
Would,
what it counts
would
to
it be
be.
worth
It's like
it?
60.
You know.
It sounds pretty
I
sick.
mean-
4-wheel steering.
The problem
I
is,
mean, we're just looking at that i4 M50 or whatever
Yeah,
this weekend.
that thing was crazy.
And that was pretty insane. I mean, what is it, like 600 horsepower to
Yep.
the wheels
Yep.
and all
Something
electric or
ridiculous.
something like
Yeah.
that. So,
Well,
it's
see-
out there.
this is the problem if the price gets up into the 50s, and especially if it gets up into the 60s. So now you're competing against the i4 M50. I think is more. I think it's like
70,
something.
75,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Model 3 Performance.
Mhm.
Wink, wink. 55. You got the Ioniq 5N, which is 69,000. But now, like the Mustang Mach-E, they're coming out with a gravel version of that. That's probably going to be in that $55,000-$60,000 range. Like once they cross that $50,000 threshold, not only looking at internal combustion cars, there's now EVs that are starting to offer like crazy amounts of performance. That start to be right in that ballpark. I mean, again, we had Ron Zaris on the podcast that drove basically a showroom stock Ioniq 5N up Pikes Peak with us this year. All I had in it was a cage and a little bit of weight savings, and we beat him. We did beat him, but by 3 seconds, and that's it. Like, if you're going to build a Pikes Peak car right now, would you start with an Ioniq 5N or WRX or even an STI? I don't know. That's a harder call.
If it's hybrid.
Well, if it's hybrid, then that makes it interesting. That would actually be pretty interesting. But I just don't know if Subaru's going to do that.
There you go, Subaru. Call out.
Yeah.
Let us run your hybrid drivetrain up Pikes Peak to help test.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so with all this being said, now we want to throw it to you guys, the viewers. Let us know what you think in the comments. So, one, the question that I have.
I don't know. I think you agree.
Yeah. One is, has Subaru already lost you? 2, what do they need to do to win you back? Well, put that down in the comments. And 3, if there's something that the STI has to have, what does the STI have to have? Is it 450 horsepower? Is it 500 horsepower? Is it dual clutch transmission? Does it have to be a hybrid for them to win you back? What's it going to take?
Does it have to have LED
K24.
STI emblems?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has to have the go fast wing.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's just a rumor. We don't know. Anything is possible, but again, it's from a reliable source to a reliable source to us, now to you. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support as always. And until next time, stay tuned to Flatirons Tuning.